Hello guys, Deuteran/LearnSwain here, and I have a lot to talk about relating to LOS and just general stuff. So this time I've come prepared. I actually printed out all the stuff that I needed to talk about on a piece of thermal paper, so let's get started. So firstly, the new LOS language, new LOS in general. So the old LOS thing here, it's not actually that old, I admit, but basically, it's not... Yeah, I've been having problems with the graphics drivers and whatnot. And basically what I saw was the game Duino 2, I think that's how you pronounce it, basically based off the FT800 graphics processing units. And this is a pretty cool looking device, because it's an actual graphics processor. Okay, here's the old graphics processor that I used in one of the older LOS versions. It's not actually a graphics processor, it's basically just a microcontroller. It acts like a microcontroller programmed with some sort of display library. It doesn't even have a frame buffer or anything, so it admittedly kinda sucked. And lesson learned, look very, very thoroughly at how it works before purchasing something like that. But you know, you have to learn these things. That's what I'm going to use for the new LOS. Now the problem is, it's again, as usual, costs money, and the FT800 devices are extremely difficult to find. And ironically, one of two manufacturers that produce dev boards for the FT800 is 4D Systems, which actually incidentally happens to be the guys who made this one. You can see the 4D logo over there. Well, he says 4D Systems on here somewhere. I don't feel like finding it. But yes, this is made by 4D Systems, and they make FT800 dev board as well. And then there was another made by, I don't even remember what the company was. Basically, both of them cost $100 if you include shipping to South Africa. And that's pretty pricey. Double the price of this graphics processor, actually, but this doesn't really count, again. And yeah, but it's a cool little chip. It has some really amazing features, and yeah, you can do basically Super NES, slightly beyond Super NES graphics on it. It's pretty high resolution and such, so I don't know, somewhere between Super NES and Nintendo 64, but it doesn't do 3D, so yeah. As you've noticed with the LOS versions, I'm slowly stepping up the ladder of technology advancements. I started with like a basic, very low resolution black-white device, and now I have this mini tablet computer-like device, and it's still going. But I have to go up the ladder quite slowly. I can't skip from black-white display to cutting-edge modern technology, because I'm not that good. I need to get a bit of experience from the other stuff, which also means that this is a very expensive process. It's costing me a whole lot of money, and I can barely afford this hobby. So, yeah. On a completely different topic, I went to the flea market, or basically second-hand store where they sell all sorts of junk, and I found one of these. Now, you can't really see it, I can't zoom out much more, but it's huge. And this is only one of four, or I can't even fit it on the screen, here you can see the end of it. This is one of 4 boards. That's a total of 40 rows of little numbers, 7-segment displays. This is an exchange rate sign, as I've googled on the internet. So they use these on sign on banks to show what the exchange rate is. And they're ridiculously huge. And this one hasn't been fixed yet, but they're all broken, and I fixed them up and I reverse engineered how they worked, and then made a little library to communicate with them. And I actually have the reverse engineering notes here, so it's all very summarized information on the exact pinout of everything, and what the datasheet links for all the ICs I found. And it's really simple, actually. It was a rather fun activity, sort of reverse engineering this display. Hope to find another one of these things again. But basically, it was ridiculously cheap. It's equivalent of about $4, I think, for 40 rows of 7-segment displays. They were of course broken, but I fixed them and it works rather well. Now, I displayed the Hackaday logo on these displays after getting them fixed, and that won me a Trinket 5V from the Hackaday contest, logo contest or something, so yay! I have finally won something. I've entered contests before, but I got honorable mentions for a robot once. Didn't get any actual prizes. It also won quite a few awards and instructables, like 1-year membership, which I guess you can consider a prize. 1-year membership and then a few months of membership. It's expired now. So, yeah, that's that. Let's see, I also got a Raspberry Pi from the best IT teacher ever, who basically said, I have a Raspberry Pi, I'm not using it, you want it for free. And I'm like, okay, I'll have it. And so now I have a Raspberry Pi, and I'm using it to make a little home server. We also got a new modem in a completely different subject, and I can configure it to give the Raspberry Pi static IP and stuff, which we couldn't on our previous modem for some reason. But now we can do that. So right now it's hosting a little printer software that I wrote, so it's a network printer, network thermal printer in fact, is what I use to print this. So I can print with a little Java application, and it'll send it through a port to Raspberry Pi, and I'll be able to print it. It also has VNC and SSH, so I can communicate with it remotely, which is rather nice. It's rather fun. So I'm experimenting with Java ports and sockets and whatnot. Really cool. I couldn't do that before. And you can also keep it on all day because it hardly uses any power. Okay, regarding the LOS competition, the competition was basically to find out why, or what it was that was persisting during resets, and it was the little red square, or I don't even remember what color it was, I think it was red, that moved around whenever you reset it. And yeah, so someone wanted, I forgot the name, or should have written it down, but yeah, there'll be a picture of a wizard on, you'll be seeing that right now, and so the reason why this is happening, no one actually managed to guess, which is kind of sad, but yeah, I admit it's a bit hard. So I'll be explaining that now. So this reset button over here, this is the main microcontroller over here. This reset button resets the microcontroller, alright? So that's pretty simple. It starts it up again, and it loses all the memory. And on here, this tiny little chip you see over here is the touchscreen controller chip. Note how it's separate from the microcontroller. And this controls the touchscreen and basically makes the job of the microcontroller a bit easier by not having to worry about always constantly checking the touchscreen. Now the reset button resets this, however, it's not wired in any way to this little chip. So that's why that's happening. Because when you reset it, this thing resets, but this thing remembers the last touched position on the touchscreen. So basically this thing can check whenever it wants to. It doesn't have to check exactly when the user is touching the screen, it can check whenever it wants to, and it'll get the last position of this touch. But that doesn't reset because it's not connected to the reset button. Only this thing resets. So that explanation probably didn't make much sense, as I've just noticed. I'm not very good at explaining things, but... Now the new LOS programming language that I'm working on, currently codenamed C++, sort of a pun on C and C++, it basically is C-based, sort of, and it's going to have multiple function stuff. I don't know how to explain it. Basically you can have a whole equation on one line, basically redesigning the system that it uses to store the code as well, the format. Is all sorts of cool stuff and be a bit more future-proof this time. So yeah, you should be able to more or less copy C code and run it. It's going to be quite powerful language. And it won't be able to do object-oriented stuff yet. That might be the next version of my language, whatever I decide to call that. But it's, yeah, it's currently in the design phase and still having a few problems getting it all working, and of course I don't have a screen for LOS to do it on yet, as I talked about previously. That's all I have to say, I guess. So thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed it. Comment, rate, like, subscribe, give suggestions on what I should do and stuff, and bye.